A coalition of more than 20 U.S. senators has filed a resolution condemning the arrests of American citizens in Russia, including a Pennsylvania medical marijuana patient, Mark Fogel, who's serving a 14-year sentence over simple possession of marijuana. Sponsored by Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin, Democrat from Illinois, the measure was filed to mark the one-year anniversary of the arrest of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich on unfounded allegations of espionage. Side note on that, we have a fellow cannabis reporter, Jeremy Burke, who's an old friend of Evan, so if you want more information about that whole story and to catch up on that, I highly recommend checking out Jeremy Burke's social media and see what's being done to bring Evan home. But by introducing this resolution, we're yet again bringing to light the cruelty of the Russian government, Durbin, who also chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee, said in a press release on Tuesday. As fellow Americans, we demand the release of all American citizens who face arbitrary arrests by the Russian government. The senator said in a floor speech on Thursday that Fogel's arrest over possession of medical cannabis he was prescribed in a legal state resulted in a ludicrous 14-year sentence in Russian labor camps. Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat from Pennsylvania who's among the co-sponsors, said Fogel was detained for carrying a small amount of medical marijuana which was prescribed by his doctor. He's now spent over a year of a 14-year sentence in a Russian prison because of bogus large-scale drug trafficking conviction. A 14-year sentence is absurd, even by Russian standards, he said. The other co-sponsors of this resolution included Senators Tim Kaine, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Liz Warren, Ron Wyden, Chris Van Hollen, Richard Blumenthal, Bob Casey, Chris Coons, Sheldon Whitehouse, Angus King, Patty Murray, Catherine Cortez Masto, Debbie Stabenow, Jeff Merkley, Amy Klobuchar, Michael Bennett, Peter Welch, and Jian Shaheen. So we have a pretty big coalition there. At this point, there's not really much going on, but the lawmakers are making pleas for the State Department to escalate Fogel's case, including by formally designating him as wrongfully detained. This resolution also urges that designation. They've pointed out that his situation is comparable to that of WNBA player Brittany Griner, who also served time in a Russian prison over possession of cannabis oil, but she also lawfully obtained as a medical marijuana patient in Arizona before being released as a part of a prisoner swap that the Biden administration negotiated. The resolutions were introduced shortly after a family of visited the White House to meet with high-level officials and also raise attention to this case with members of Congress. You can read more about the resolution and the letters that these senators are filing, but I mean, I think it's at least a step in the right direction. We need to bring all of those prisoners home. They're at this point, I think they're political prisoners, especially if you look at the timing that many of them were arrested just ahead of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. My belief has always been that was instigated as leverage during this conflict. So I hope we bring them all home. I hope the State Department escalates Fogel's case and does whatever is necessary to bring him home. But yeah, let's hear what everyone else has to say. It's So Home with High at 9 News.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad, but we need to fix shit here before we're criticizing other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I mean, I feel that too. But I am glad to see that there is some collective effort being put behind this.
I think the bigger issue is that the State Department needs a coalition of 20 senators to actually escalate this case. And to your point, Rico, right, senators and our legislative branch of government shouldn't have to spend time passing a resolution like this when they could be focusing on meaningful legislative change in the U.S. And why does the State Department need pressure from a coalition of 20 senators to even escalate this case in the first place when it's clearly absurd?
Yeah.
So I think all of those points can be true, but at the end of the day, for sure, nobody should be spending 14 years in a Russian labor camp over a little bit of weed.
You're 100%. I agree with that statement 100%. And I agree with what you said in regard to them, this being a thing that the State Department does is generally overall being positive. However, this is it. Like, we don't need to have 20 senators that are all Democrats because they don't have one Republican on that letter. We don't need 20 Democrats sending a letter to a Democratic administration telling the Democratic agency to do their Democratic job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, it's like, yeah, 14 years sucks. Rico is also correct, and so is Mandy. We have people here that have these ridiculous and ludicrous sentences that are well above 14 years for well below a half ounce of weed. I'm not saying why Mr. Fogel is there. I'm not saying anything like that. A half ounce of weed should never give you a day in prison anywhere in the world. But my point is, in America, we have people. My boy Weldon Angelos had 3 ounces of weed and got 55 years. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's keep this 100, senators. Mm-hmm. And this whole thing about like, why are we having an issue calling this wrongfully detained? We call it wrongfully detained when Brittany Griner was over there. We call it wrongfully detained when Paul Whelan is over there, who, I don't know, looked like he was doing some government stuff anyway over there. I'm not saying he should be in jail, but I'm just saying, like, it looked like he was doing some espionage stuff. Just saying.
Maybe Luke, maybe we should stage our own prisoner swap. Take some.
Right. My point is this: is that like
these politicians and trade them for these drug prisoners.
Oh, I would happily trade. I would happily trade Chucky Schumer for Paul Whelan all day.
But let's talk about.
We can give them their own guys back. All the people that took money from Russian interests during their election cycle. Send them all back.
Oh, I mean, you're gonna wipe out the whole Congress then if you do that. But
I have zero issue with that.
Listen, let's drill down on the wrongfully detained thing. Like even the terminology of wrongfully detained, right? You want to have this hearing and this resolution to be able to just label him wrongfully detained so that the State Department can do certain things, right? Even though we don't need the State Department, the Biden administration
actually,
could not.
it's even worse than that. The resolution can't even designate him as wrongfully detained. The resolution is asking the State Department to designate him as wrongfully detained.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Even more ludicrous.
So the Congress can't even make it. You're right, because the State Department's in the executive branch, so Congress can't even make the State Department do anything. So that's all just smoke and mirrors too, right? But this whole wrongfully detained thing, right? We have people in America right now that are in prison for a lot longer, for a lot less cannabis, that we're not calling wrongfully detained, that we are saying you have to your sentence. We're having courts right now today rule on motions where they're saying that exact thing, and I'm paraphrasing, hey, you're going to have to finish this sentence because cannabis is still illegal federally in America. So this whole situation, like this whole situation about this whole wrongfully detained thing, and then the optics of it, and it's ludicrous, the 14 years. Yes, all those things are correct. Soham, you're correct, and both of you guys are correct, Mandy and Rico. But let's call this what it is. The administration could do this in a heartbeat if they really cared about it. There's a teacher over there. Mr. Fogel is a high school teacher that got caught up for a half ounce of weed and doing 14 years. So why are we not having press conferences for him? Because he's only a teacher and he doesn't have a jump shot? You know what I'm saying?
I think let's call this what it is. It's the same as Rico's story with the CAOA or whatever.
Well, not to mention the teacher is a white male, and so they don't get any whatchamacallit points. Just saying,
Jason.
Just saying.
But I will agree with the like on the jump shot thing, like versus the teacher, because America doesn't value education.
They don't do that either.
What's more clickable, values, right?
Yeah, celebrities.
On the media, what's more clickable?
Yep. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's sad, but at the same time, like we got to fix shit here before we start talking shit about other countries and their own policies. If this is their drug policy, we know that they're doing that stuff. This is what goes on in Russia.
Yeah, you know what time it is.
Fixing. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
You know what time it is before you go there. You know what's up.
Like. And word to Luke for calling out these word games that they're playing, because maybe this is why Joe Biden is saying nobody should be in jail for simple possession.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing, Rico. This falls under that simple possession.
Right, because we can say, we don't do it for simple possession, but Russia does because Russia's bad. Like, come on, man, get the fuck out of here.
Yep, and on that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Shit's just like hypocrisy is killing me, man.
Oh boy.